Welcome back to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. I'm CarrieVee, your biggest fan, the person who will believe in you until you can believe in yourself. Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee is all things leadership, communication, confidence, clarity, and life. And today we have joining us Michael Fedor. I met Michael at a local BNI chapter, and we've gotten to know each other better. And you're going to love this conversation. He has a very dry sense of humor that will make you laugh, it will make you smile, and you'll learn some things. So without further ado, Michael, welcome to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee.
Thanks, Carrie. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be on with you.
Oh, you are so welcome. I'm excited to have you here too. So tell us, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What makes you happy? What makes you smile? What makes you want to live life every day?
Yeah, so I'd say a full year now. What I've been really excited about is I finally started pursuing my stand-up comedy career, and I've been doing open mics anywhere that they have them in the area, and I'm really excited now because I just officially, as of yesterday, got booked for my first paid show in August. So I'm looking forward
Wow.
to
So
that.
tell us more about this show in August.
So it's at a local bar in Binghamton. It's gonna have two other comedians, and the headlining comedian actually used to write for David Letterman.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna be opening up for that comedian and trying to warm up the crowd. But it is cool to see that after so many weeks and weeks of doing open mics to finally get recognized and asked to be on a show and share the stage with someone like that's really what I'm proud of.
Yeah, I bet you are. I'm proud of you too. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So where are you allowed to tell us when and where yet specifically?
So yeah, it should be at the Fountains Tavern in
Okay.
Johnson City, and it's August 18th, and it will start at 7 o'clock.
Okay. So exciting. Okay, so let's back it up a little bit. And what got you interested in comedy? Is it something you have always loved? What made you think I'm going to do open mic? Like, tell us the whole backstory.
Yeah, so I've throughout high school, like I've always kind of been the funny one in my friend group, and it was more like situational humor. And
Mhm.
my friends knew I was funny, but I definitely was still working on it. But I definitely was a lot more shy, like getting up in front of like speaking, and
Mhm.
I wouldn't be like the loudest one at the party, but like side conversations, like people would always tell me I'm funny. And I have a friend that he started doing comedy in Tampa at open mics and sent a video into our group chat. And I was like, well, if he's doing it, that kind of gave me a little bit more courage to try it. So
Yeah.
I did my first open mic last June, and I was nervous where I went there to the open mic a couple weeks before that,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't have the courage. I ended up not going up, but I did. The next time I had maybe a couple beers at the bar, and then I tugged on the jacket of the host and was like, hey, I think I'm ready to try it. And I was so nervous, I don't remember what I said, but I did it, and that was a victory right there. And just talking to other comedians and hearing about how like just going up there and expecting not to do well for several months, but just you're building that muscle of getting
Yeah.
comfortable in front of the crowd. And yeah, it's just it doesn't always seem like it's linear progression, but like a year later, here we are, and I'm definitely much more comfortable getting up in front of the crowd.
Yeah. So, how do you come up with your comedy routines? Do you practice them? Do you like where do you find your content?
Yeah, so I'd say it's a lot of it is life experiences where it's like if something funny happens, I'll jot it down. And the cool part about comedy is being the loose art form that it is, there's no right way to do it or wrong way. So, like being able to just have that premise that happened and then take it into a funny direction, and not being afraid to exaggerate a little bit, or just I guess trying to see what works, and viewing the open mics as just practice and seeing what works, and talking to other comedians, and
Mhm.
um, talking to my girlfriend, my friends, whoever's around. Like if I think of an idea, I need to say it right away. So if something happens, I'll jot it in my notes. It's a little bit difficult for me to just sit down and write for hours, because
Mhm.
it's hard for me to stay focused. But just doing a little bit, I try to practice like verbally speaking, like 30 minutes a day. And I
Mhm.
just notice the little bit of practice each day definitely um, builds
Yeah.
off of each
It's very interesting to me when when I watch stand-up comedy, it amazes me how a thread goes through the entire routine, but the subject matters change so dramatically. And following that thread is it's an art form. It's an art form, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because doing open mics in Binghamton and then in Ithaca, certain jokes work better in different areas,
Ah,
even when, Binghamton and Ithaca are maybe an hour car drive separating
yeah.
them. But the Ithaca, younger college Cornell Ithaca kids, and then Binghamton, a little bit of an older crowd. So it's and it's hard. It's like when I first started, I always thought like, oh, like I want to be better than this person.
Mhm.
But since it's art, it is, it's not always like, someone someone could be someone's least favorite comedian, but then that same comedian could be someone's like favorite. So
Yeah.
it's you're not gonna be everyone's cup of tea, but the more you do it and the more people you get in front of, you'll find people that do like your comedy.
Yeah. So have you ever told a joke or done a routine and it fell flat?
Oh, probably more jokes falling flat than jokes getting laughs.
How do you handle that?
So when I was first starting out, I would get really nervous, and that's when, at the open mics, you're working out your new material. So I would
Mhm.
kind of like close myself off and go into my notes and be like, okay, like, and I would just, it really rattled me. But
Mhm.
that's where the practice really comes in, where joke falls flat. And a lot of comedy is how you time it and deliver it.
Yeah.
So if you hold it for an extra second, and, instead of just saying it, or a filler word, just let the quietness build tension.
Yeah.
And if it feels awkward, then just kind of playing into that, and then eventually you learn to deal with the awkwardness and make something awkward into something funny.
Yeah. So I'm gonna spin this a little bit. Um, so I know, because I know you, that you work in payroll with a payroll company.
Yes.
How many lessons that you learn within comedy and doing open mic, how many of those lessons transfer over to your life and what you do for a living? Are there things I guess let me word it this way. Are the things you learn doing comedy that transfer over to what you do in life and how you deal with the customers and potential customers that you come in contact with?
Yeah, definitely. It's when I first told my boss that I was doing stand-up comedy, she
Uh-huh.
told me, she was like, well, if you can get up in front of a room full of people, you should have no problem going to a business owner and pitching them the payroll product. And it's definitely some differences, but the biggest thing I've taken from it is, well, I still get nervous for a big sales meeting,
Mhm.
but kind of like for an open mic, like getting nervous, and no matter how it goes, I feel it always goes better than I think in the back of my mind, your anxiety
Yeah.
tries to tell you, you should worry about this and that, but you're always going to have a next one. So even if I have a bad sales meeting, a bad open mic, I'm always looking forward to the next one. And instead of dreading or dwelling on the poor performance, like, okay, well, how can I get better? And
Hmm.
um, I feel like doing more comedy and just getting up in front of people, it's helped my confidence in my professional career also.
Yeah. I love that you said that. There's going to be a next one.
Yeah,
That
always.
that's a huge lesson that I think a lot of people don't quite grasp or hold on to that. That your whole life doesn't hinge on one client call or one open mic or one fill in the blank. There's always going to be another one. How did you learn that lesson? How do you feel like you brought that into your life to become the strong young man that you are?
Yeah, the big thing is just doing it, because like when I was nervous where I knew I wanted to start doing comedy, like I kind of just was I would try to like give myself like self-talk, like, okay, like it's gonna be fine, just do it. And no matter how many times or like how many like YouTube videos you can watch, like there's nothing that's
Mhm.
gonna replace like actually getting up there and doing it. To where now, like, I feel like I'm not even thinking about it as much. It's just like, oh, it's just another open mic. And same with sales meetings, like, oh, it didn't go well, like they're not interested. Well, that's all right. There's so many other meetings to be had, and
Yeah.
just the practice of actually doing it is the most important.
Yeah. So, do you do a lot of personal development? Do you do a lot of self-development in your life?
Yeah. I definitely I've gotten really big into I've liked going to the gym to lift weights, but more recently I've been doing more yoga and
Oh,
doing more meditation to help kind of like, when you're doing those exercises, you let the feelings come, and like, you get those anxious thoughts, but then kind of recognizing that it's just a thought. And
yeah.
once you recognize it, that's the most important thing, because then you can deal with it a lot better.
Yeah.
And also journaling about how I feel and getting my thoughts out is I've been doing that every morning, and I definitely noticed the progress it's been helping me keep track of.
Yes. So, what got you into journaling? I mean, there's so much there. I could ask you about all of them. I'm a yoga fan myself. I love the strength that it brings and the flexibility and the peace. Like the just
Mm.
the calm. Like if your day is planning to be stormy, that 30 to 40 minutes or maybe even an hour of just that peaceful calm, I love it. But if we go to journaling, I'm a huge believer in the power of journaling and writing it, not typing it on a keyboard, but actually grabbing a pen and writing in a journal. What got you into that? It's fascinating when I find especially a man who is interested in journaling because a lot of men that I work with on a one-on-one as my one-on-one clients are a little hesitant to journal. So what got you into journaling?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, because I used to never journal and get my thoughts out that way, but I'd say around the time I started doing comedy last year, I was seeing a therapist, and I definitely was dealing with some. It was hard for me to deal with my anxious thoughts, and the anxiety was linked to depression and kind of the inability to take action. And
Yeah.
my therapist recommended journaling to get the thoughts out, where like I feel like I have so many thoughts in my head, so many intrusive thoughts, but getting them out. And once you write them out, you can read it and be like, well, it helps you like see it that okay, well, these are just thoughts. They're not actually like the world's not ending. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here. day by day, just trying to get 1% better and not trying to have like a huge transformation overnight, but just being able to stick to a process and continue to get
Yeah.
better.
I absolutely love this. That's such a great lesson that you're bringing out to everyone. Do you feel that working on yourself, on personal development wise, on working on you as a person, personal development, yoga, all the things, do you think it makes you a better comedian?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like
How
I feel
so?
like
How so?
I yeah, I feel like I need to like once work stops at 5 o'clock, like I'll instantly do like a 20-30 minute yoga routine before my open mic, and it's kind of habitual practice I've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that lesson for everyone. What would you recommend if someone came to you and said, "Man, I've been dealing with this with these anxious thoughts." What would you tell them? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would ask them like why do they think they're having these thoughts? And because like for me, it's like the thoughts, those anxious thoughts that when they come up and you think of them, like when I think about like why like I'm feeling that way, it kind of helps you just pause for a second and be like, well, it's Wednesday, July 3rd. Like, I don't need to worry about what's going to happen. Like, at the end of the year, like, you can't change that.
Yeah.
You can't change what's happened in the past. So just kind of grounding yourself and being like, okay, like, what can I do in this present moment? So probably tell them to, just take a deep breath and remember where you are, where your feet set.
I love that. Um, that's such great advice. We get so anxious sometimes as a human race, as people, about something that may or may not happen 30 days from now or 60 days or a year from now. And we don't even know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, let alone how many days in the future. And it's it is so encouraging for me to see someone of your age, very young. So if you're not watching on YouTube, Mike is a young man. And and so if you're listening, maybe you can hear that in his voice, but I just want to point it out. I want to make you all realize Mike is young, and many of us who are listening or watching may be on the stage of our life where we have more years behind us than we do ahead of us. And many of us in this age bracket we're not introduced to personal development. We weren't introduced to the concept of dealing with our anxious thoughts. We weren't introduced to all of these things that you are talking about. And knowing, Mike, that you are out there laying this foundation of taking care of your anxious thoughts, taking care of life, taking care of your own your personal development from your physical self to your mental and emotional self, that you're doing all this work now and setting this foundation for new generations coming is so encouraging and so wonderful to hear, because I don't see it a lot. And so I'm so thankful that you are out there doing the work. And when you show up at BNI and you just know what you want. And I've heard it in this interview as well. You know what you want with your comedy. You know what you want with what you're building within the payroll company you work with. You're out there doing the thing, knowing what you want, and you're just going for it.
Yeah, exactly, Carrie. Yeah, because your mind, like as you go through life, your mind and like no matter like what material items you have and what's going on in your life, you're always gonna have your mind. So that's kind of why I try really hard to take care of my mental state, and it's
Yeah.
something that you always have to be working on. And you might not notice it. Like if you meditate or journal for a couple days, you might not notice a difference. But if you do it, consistently for months and months, you do just start to just subtly just feel better and let you like live the life that you want to live.
Yeah. You use that word consistently. How hard has it been to stay consistent? Or did you find that once you did it, it was pretty easy to stay consistent? Where are you on that spectrum there?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to stay like consistent, like I first like got introduced to meditation towards the end of college when I was getting my master's, and it's definitely hard to stay like do it day in and day out. But the nice part is you can always begin again. Uh, like if you don't, say you fall off from your good habits for a week or two, it's like, well, don't dwell on the fact that you stopped doing it. Well, just start again. And what's cool with like meditation, in if you're somewhere and you're zoned out and you're just not present, if you just take a breath, it's not like you have to sit down for 10 minutes and close your eyes. You can just, okay, I'm back. And then it's just kind of snap of the fingers, just get back. So
Yeah. You can always begin again. That's a fabulous advice. You can always
mhm.
begin again. We forget that. We forget that a lot. Going back to we don't know what's going to happen a year from now. So why are we stressing over that? You have a bad day or a bad moment in a bad day, just reset and move forward. It's sage advice from a young man. Thank you.
Yeah.
So tell us how, well, let's ask this question since I can't believe this time went so fast. What is your superpower, Mike?
So I'd say my superpower nowadays is not letting other people's thoughts or negativity get to me, where, you know, people might tell you like, oh, you shouldn't do this, or like, why are you doing that? It's just a waste of time. Like, you're not gonna become a famous comedian. You don't have the
Mm.
personality to be a good salesperson. And I've learned that other people, they don't know what goes on inside and like what you're capable of.
Yeah.
So just not letting other people's opinions and knowing what I want and just pursuing that. And it doesn't really matter what someone says. And if anything, just pushes me to just keep working hard at it to prove that person wrong.
That's a fabulous superpower. I love it. So, as a journaler, can you give us something to get those of us who also love to journal and maybe those who are a little resistant to starting a journal prompt, something to get us writing?
Well, yeah, it's funny that you put it that way too. Putting like like starting to journal, because I think a good journal prompt and would be, what is something that you want to do and maybe you've been wanting to do for a while. What's something that you want to start doing that for whatever reason you've put off and said you'll get to it. Like, write that down and then make a point to start doing that as soon as possible.
Oh, I love it. Chills. How can we find you, Mike? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook. Just search up Michael Fedor, Fedor, and you'll see a guy with a microphone for his profile picture. Or you can find me on Instagram. I have my comedy Instagram account is Mike, Mike, in my hand. Or if you just want to connect with me, I have a Mikey Bones Jones is my personal Instagram name. So Facebook or Instagram, probably the easiest ways.
I love that, Mikey Bones Jones. That's great. I
Yeah.
will make sure that all of those links are tagged underneath the YouTube video, underneath your podcast app, wherever you are listening. You can just go to the show notes and click on those links to follow Mike. Mike, before we let you go, what is one last piece of advice you would like to give us? I hit you
Hmm.
cold with that one.
Yeah, that's yeah, because I feel like the whole just doing it, like I feel like kind of going back to, there's so many thoughts, and like when you let your anxious thoughts get in control, like I know it's just doing it. if you are anxious or nervous to start something, if you just tell yourself like, okay, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it badly. Like, just don't feel like you're going to, because you're not going to do everything amazing the first time you do it. So just do it and just own it. Like, and then kind of when I started doing comedy, I got in my head that I'm new at this. I'm going to do pretty bad, but just doing it and not worrying about how good you are, that's the most important thing.
That is great advice. Mike, thank you for hanging out with us today on Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome.